Hello, welcome to our weekly Sunday Night Live. Essential oils are not magic beans. We will get started at 9 o'clock Eastern time, so if you're watching the replay, there may be a little bit of a delay while we wait for it to actually turn to 9 o'clock and for Facebook to let people know that, that we're here and that we're ready to go. If Facebook is still speaking to me after the previous video I just did on my personal page, then maybe they will create an audience for me. So when we start to see people finding us, then we'll get started here very shortly. So if you're waiting, you can go grab your oils if you have some. Maybe grab yourself a drink of water, take a bathroom break, and we'll start here probably in about 60 seconds, okay? Bear with me. Yeah, probably closer to 2 minutes actually till we start. Just so people can find us. It takes a minute for Facebook to create our audience for us, and I would like to log in a little bit early to make it easier for people to find us. If you can, there's a button down at the bottom where you can share this video and let people know you're watching it. And if you have somebody that might be interested in learning a little bit more about essential oils, or maybe somebody that you've shared your oils with before that's never been able to make it to a class in person, this would be a great learning opportunity for them. So if you'll share the video while we're waiting another probably 60 seconds to get started, that would be a great thing, and just ask them to hop on and join you. And the good news is that while I have to do my hair and makeup in order to be here, you don't, and neither do your friends. So you can only see me and not you. But what I would love you to do is to comment below and let me know you're here so I can say hi and see who's watching. And so if you'll just kind of say, you know, I'm here and blah, 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 whatever, then say hi, and it'll help us to know that we've got people watching and that are engaged. The other thing that you can do in the few seconds here before we start rolling is you can tell me, you can ask your questions about cooking with essential oils. That's what I'm going to be talking about for the next 30 minutes, is just how I have learned to actually cook and bake with essential oils, and how it is much healthier and much cheaper than using spices and other things that we're used to using. I don't use vanilla extract anymore. There's just so many things that I am saving money on and saving time on. And so if you have questions about cooking with essential oils, you can type them below and I'll try to answer them in our 30 minutes that we have together. Hey, Patty, thanks for commenting. It's good to see you. So my name is Deanna Nichols, and I am a Blue Diamond Wellness Advocate with doTERRA Essential Oils. And I have been using the doTERRA oils for about 5 years now, a little over 5 years. And it was only probably in the past maybe 2 years that I really got kind of really into cooking with my essential oils. I don't know what it was that held me back from doing it. I guess I kind of felt like I didn't know how to do it. And I'm going to take the mystery out of it for those of you who are interested in starting with it. And honestly, the best way to learn is to just kind of start experimenting. And I would experiment with small amounts of oil in small amounts of food when you're first getting started. Hey, Mary. So that you don't ruin a whole batch of whatever. Because I've done that enough times to know that if you use too much essential oil in something, you pretty much have to throw it out because it's so strong. Before I start to do that though, I want to tell you something very important that you must understand before you start cooking with essential oils or taking them internally, is that you want to make sure you're using doTERRA oils when you do that. They are extremely different from any other essential oils on the market, and there is not a lot, there's not any, I was gonna say there's not a lot, there's no contaminants in there, there's no synthetics in our essential oils, and just about every brand, if not every brand, at least some of their oils are gonna have contaminants and synthetic ingredients in there. And that's been proven just by independent people that have purchased them and sent them off to be studied. And so with that being said, without knowing and trusting a certain brand, you wanna be really careful about putting that in your food. I'll take it a step further and say that even if you're not eating your oils, people really freak out about that. They're like, oh my gosh, that's dangerous. But you know what? If you're breathing it in a diffuser or you're putting it on your skin, it's still getting in your body anyway. So if it's not safe to do that with, then it's probably, if it's not safe to eat, it's probably not safe to do anything with. And so I only trust doTERRA, and one of the reasons I trust them is because I personally know the owners and I know their integrity. I know the practices that we do in order to obtain our oils. But now doTERRA has made it possible for you, for every person, even if you don't know the owners personally and you haven't been to a field somewhere in Guatemala and seen our cardamom growing, if you're just a regular person, they want to make it possible for you to have that faith and trust in our product. And so we have a website called Source 2U, SOURCE 2U.com. And you can go there and you can take your bottle of oil, and there's a number on the bottom, and you can plug that number in and you can actually see the testing that was done on that oil. So I will challenge you, and I've challenged many people, and so far I haven't had anybody come back with a successful story. So please, if you have a successful story, come back and tell me, and I promise to tell people that it happened. Call, if you're using another brand of oils that you think is wonderful, go ahead and call them up and ask them to see the GCMS report on the bottle of oil that you purchased. Okay, not just some general information about that general oil, but on that bottle, ask to see the GCMS testing. And by the way, doTERRA does so much testing beyond GCMS. GCMS is like I mean, that's like what everybody does, even when they're like a shoddy company. They supposedly do GCMS testing. That's the basics. We do like 11 other tests. And we're looking for not just contaminants, but we're also making sure that somebody didn't mess around with the plant and try to make it look like a certain plant when it's not, by playing around with things in a lab. And we're looking for all kinds of minuscule amounts of adulterations and contaminants. And so we just want to make sure that we're offering you safe oils. So that's like my little preface. So everything we're talking about right now is going to be doTERRA oils, of course. And let's tell you where to start out if you're kind of like new and nervous about it like I was. The first thing of starting out oils in your food, I would say start with citrus oils. Because honestly, it would be really hard unless you're like taking off the little orifice reducer and pouring the whole bottle in. It would be pretty hard to like overdo it on the citrus oils. So a really easy way to eat your citrus oils is to use our trim shakes. doTERRA has these amazing meal replacement protein based shakes. They even have a vegan one. And you can start your day, or any part of your day really, by drinking one of those. And I have a bunch of recipes that I have shared here on this public page. Also on Instagram at Oil Shares, I've shared a lot of my trim shake recipes because I really like the trim shakes. And you can make your trim shake taste like a peanut butter cup. You can make your trim shake taste like a pumpkin pie. You can make it taste like a pina colada, just about anything by playing around with the oils. And the easiest ones to use are the citrus oils. Now I'm going to tell you a little secret. Some of you have heard this secret before. Don't tell anybody I told you, and 800 of your closest friends this. But but there is an oil called Citrus Bliss that it's not listed as being an oil that's for internal use, but I've been using it for years in a lot of my cooking, and it's totally safe. It's just not, that's just not how doTERRA recommends we use it, but it's totally fine. And that's what I've been doing for over 5 years. And Citrus Bliss is like my secret weapon, because you know how when you bake things, a lot of times it'll call for some sort of vanilla extract. Well, the Citrus Bliss has a whole bunch of really awesome citrus oils in it that give it a nice flavor, but it also has a little hint of vanilla in there. And so it's kind of got a little sweetness to it. So if you're trying to cut back on sweets, I don't make anything with sugar or any kind of artificial sweeteners. And so I am able to make things taste really, really delicious by adding Citrus Bliss. So an example would be if I'm making a paleo cheesecake, that like a healthy version of a cheesecake, then I can add Citrus Bliss to the batter and make a really, really lovely flavor. I don't need any vanilla extract. I don't really need any sweetener. If I do add sweetener, I'm adding it for the other people that are going to be eating it, because I think it's fine just like it is. And I think most people who eat sugar are going to need it to be a little sweeter. So, but I can use less sweetener than normal. I do a lot of dessert type things using Citrus Bliss. So I have made a paleo pumpkin bread, and I've done it with Citrus Bliss before. I've also done it with some of the spicy oils. So that makes sense, like using clove or cinnamon. When you're getting out of citrus and you're starting to go into the spicy oils, this is where you want to probably use a toothpick. So instead of just putting one drop into your recipe, you probably just want to take a toothpick, and you see how there's like a hole down in the middle of that orifice reducer. You can drop your toothpick down in there, kind of stir it around, and then stir it into your batter. And then you can taste your batter and see how it is going to taste. Now, I will tell you something I learned is that however strong it tastes right now, it's going to get stronger as it sits, because that's just what happens. So I've made some trim shakes the night before, thinking, oh gosh, like I'll make it the night before so that in the morning it'll be ready and I can just grab it and go. And I've noticed that the oils that I put in my trim shake really seem to like intensify in flavor when they're sitting there for a long time. So keep that in mind. So err on the side of like a hint of flavor. You don't have to like barrel down your your taste buds with the flavor. So when you're talking about the hot spicy oils like clove and cinnamon bark, or even On Guard, On Guard's another spicy one that's good in things like pumpkin flavored things, things that are supposed to be spicy. So it's really not that hard to figure out which oils to add to stuff either, because if you're looking at a recipe that calls for the spice clove or the spice cumin or the spice cinnamon, then you can use this in its place. And again, don't use a full drop. Start out with a toothpick, and you can always stir more in if you want more flavor. Does that make sense? So it's going to actually save you a lot of money, because I buy organic spices, and those are a little bit pricey, and they're actually probably not that fresh anyway. And so, when you open up that bottle of cinnamon and you smell that cinnamon smell, do you know what you're smelling? You're smelling essential oils. The oils that are lingering on that dried spice that's in there. So this is like what you want anyway. This is what you're trying to get from the spice, is you're trying to get the essential oil. So I don't think anything's going to ever taste as intense as this, as fresh as this. And so my spice cabinet used to be full of spices, and now there's only stuff in there that doTERRA doesn't make in an oil. Okay. And then I have lots and lots of pink Himalayan salt. I don't even do pepper anymore. I don't carry pepper anymore because we have black pepper oil. Okay, so now becomes the question, okay, so how would you put black pepper when it's liquid? How would you put that on like a chicken or something like that? And so the easiest way to do is to make, I call it EVOO and EO. And it's just to get yourself some of these glass spray bottles. I don't know, this might be like a 1 or 2 ounce spray bottle. And then you're going to fill this with your extra virgin olive oil. Now, I'll tell you, just like essential oils, apparently a whole lot of extra virgin olive oil isn't really extra virgin olive oil. It's like got some extra virgin olive oil in it, and then it's been watered down with a lot of inferior oils like canola oil or sunflower oil. And so do your research and find out which brands have been exposed for doing that. There's some pretty well-known brands that have been exposed for actually contaminating their olive oil. And so you can't just go by the label or the fact that it's a famous brand. And guess what? That's exactly what happens with essential oils too. So you want to be sure that you know what you're getting, and you can research essential oils online and find out who's not telling the truth about their labels. And you can find that about olive oil. So make sure you get a good brand of olive oil. So you're going to put however much. You don't want to make this like ahead of time. You want to make just the amount that you're going to use. Okay. So if I'm not going to use this whole amount, then maybe I only fill it halfway with with extra virgin olive oil. And then I can add my black pepper oil to that. And then I can spray this onto my food. What I have found is that the best way to infuse the flavor of the essential oils into your food is to do 2 things. Marinate your food beforehand, and then spray it on when it is almost cooked. Okay? So if I am going to, let's say I'm going to saute some chicken breasts, a lot of times I will take chicken breast and I'll cut it up into cubes and I'll saute it, and then I'll keep it in the fridge so that I can add it to salads and things for lunches. And I can just grab some protein and then make my little salad really, really fast. And so if I'm going to do that, then I may or may not marinate the chicken ahead of time. And so I can make my marinade in this bottle, and then I could just pour it onto the food, cover it up, put it in the fridge, and let it marinate. And then I can, if I'm cooking it on the stove and just kind of flipping it around, when it's about 75% cooked, then I will take my, I'll take the rest that's left in here and I'll spray it onto the chicken. And that gives it kind of like a last minute surge of that flavor. So for poultry, so let's just use that example that I just gave you with the chicken breast. So for this, I would add, I always like to add citrus as the base for my marinades. So I'll do the extra virgin olive oil, and then I'll probably do, maybe like 4 drops each of lemon and lime. I kind of go to those 2 a lot because if you really look at the ingredients of marinades, that is really in a lot of the base for the marinades, is a little bit of lemon, a little bit of lime. And so I put that in, and that's really a good base. And then I'll do the black pepper oil. And so I may do 3 or 4 drops of black pepper oil. Then you just kind of swirl it around, make sure it's all mixed in there. If you try to like put a drop of black pepper oil on a chicken breast, you're just going to have this like pocket of black pepper flavor like right on that piece of chicken. It's going to be horrible. No one's going to be able to eat it. So this is how you're going to be able to spread it out. So think of this as like, let's say that you were going to get a massage with essential oils with lavender. If you want to cover your entire back with lavender, that's going to be a whole heck of a lot of essential oil, way too much essential oil. So what we do is we usually take some like fractionated coconut oil, and we'll put that maybe in our hand or put that in some kind of container and then add our oils so we can spread that out over our whole back without using too much oil. So this is kind of the same thing. You want to spread that essential oil flavor out over the food. And so that's why you're going to make the little EVOO concoction. Okay, so some other flavors that are good to add on top of your base of the citrus and the black pepper oil would be if you would add some of the spices that you would find, like if you were to pick up a bottle of poultry flavoring, okay? Look at the spices that they would have in there, and those are going to be good flavors for your chicken. Some of my favorites are to add thyme. I've learned that if I add thyme, that I really only want 1 or 2 drops. And something this small, probably 1 drop is plenty. If I was making like a lot more chicken, then I might need like 2 drops, but thyme and oregano are super strong. And again, it's going to feel stronger later if you're eating the leftovers. It's going to taste a lot stronger. So just err on the side of like a light flavor, and you're going to get a little bit bolder of a flavor than what you think. So for this, I don't need the toothpick because I'm putting it into the extra virgin olive oil, not directly into the food itself, okay? If it's a liquid food like chili or spaghetti sauce or something, then you can take your toothpick and stir it in, or cake batter or whatever, you can stir it in. But since I'm making this thing that I'm going to kind of pour over the food or spray over the food, I can put it right in the olive oil. So 1 drop of oregano, 1 drop of thyme. Let's see what else I have here that I'm in the mood for. I kind of just go by like what I'm in the mood for. Marjorum's a really good flavor for poultry, so I might add maybe 2 drops of marjoram just because it's not as strong as thyme and oregano. Rosemary. Rosemary is a good one, but again, very strong. And just kind of go by the smell. If it's really, really strong, then just think like I probably only need 1 drop of that, okay? We have done our Thanksgiving turkey with essential oils, and what I have found is that it's nice with a turkey to add a little bit of fresh herbs too, and that just gives it a little bit more flavor. And so what we did is we just kind of, we had a lot of garlic cloves, and we kind of minced those up and rubbed it all over the chicken. We did lots of pink salt all over the turkey. And then we made a marinade here, and we did rosemary and ginger is what we did in ours. And it's a really, really nice flavor, especially with a little cranberry relish with it. And so we just kind of rubbed that all over the turkey, and we let it marinate overnight. And then we were able to cook the turkey the next day, and we got a really nice flavor in our turkey. So poultry, you can just kind of play around with spices that you know are good for poultry. And if you don't know, like if that doesn't, like that knowledge isn't naturally in your head, just go online and look at some recipes to cook a chicken or to cook a turkey or whatever, and see what spices they use, and you're going to find that you can use those oils in its place. Okay, so it's really not hard. With fish, we have a dill oil. I don't even know if I grabbed that one. I think I have that one. I have some of my oils that I pretty much use only for cooking, like cumin and dill. I didn't grab those, but they're like in the kitchen on a shelf. Cumin, let me just mention cumin for a second since it came into my mind. Cumin is my favorite oil to cook with. It is so good. And if you think that you like Southwest or Mexican flavored foods, you don't know what you're talking about till you have had cumin oil in your food. So if you want to make some fajitas, mixing a little bit of the extra virgin olive oil in here and adding some cumin and spraying that on your little steak strips or whatever you're cooking, amazing. In chili, it's amazing. So cumin is going to give you a really, really nice flavor. For fish, I like dill. And again, with the dill oil, just start out with maybe like 1 drop and then just see what that flavor is going to give you, because dill can be overpowering as well. I once ruined something by using way too much dill. So I don't know if Cammie's on here. Cammie, if you're watching this, she did something really funny, and I can't remember what it was. She like made beef stew and added some crazy oil to it that was like not an oil that you would cook with. She just grabbed the wrong one, and it's super funny. So hopefully she'll be on here so she can tell you her story. Let me just look and see if I have any questions so far. Experiment with 2 drops of oregano in a pot of white bean soup. Yeah. I mean, start out with something that's kind of simple. you know, like that, and just see. Having a cooking with essential oils class on the 21st. We did a practice run last Sunday, a total Italian meal. Yeah, I'm telling you, if you have not cooked with these oils, like you really seriously have no clue what you're missing out on. It is like so much more flavor, so much more flavor. And you know what else is good is you're getting the health benefits too. So you've probably heard somebody say at a doTERRA class before that you would have to drink like 28 cups of peppermint tea to get 1 drop of peppermint oil. So think about that when you're using spices. Think about how much more punch you're getting, but you're also getting the health benefits from that. So when you add cumin oil to your food, you're getting all these amazing digestive properties. When you add rosemary to your chicken noodle soup, you're getting the respiratory benefits from rosemary in your soup. I mean, you could almost just sit there and just breathe in your soup and open up your airways. And honestly, that's probably why people used to, why we have this like idea in our head that when you're sick, you need to eat chicken soup. I don't think there's anything like super amazing about like open up a can of chicken soup, but there's like health benefits in the bones of the chicken and in the skin of the chicken where you can get really good health benefits for your gut. And then the spices that they use in there are usually really good for fighting off the cooties that you have and helping with your respiratory issues. So rosemary is another one, and oregano. I mean, gosh, whatever you have, it's going to feel better when you've got oregano in your system. So that's just another way to get the oils in your body. Since I mentioned peppermint, I want to mention a couple of fun ways that I like to use peppermint. I make a really awesome marinade with lamb and peppermint. I love it. And I'm not even a peppermint girl. I'm not really a mint person. Like those Girl Scout cookies, that's not like people go crazy over those and I could take it or leave it. I'm not a big fan of mint. But when I do my marinade, I will do, you know, like maybe some lemon and lime and some black pepper, and then I'll add a few drops of peppermint oil. And it gives that lamb such an amazing flavor. So I may just like sear the meat and put the salt on it. Actually, I'd put the salt on it first and then sear the meat. And then I'll kind of just maybe, you know, dip it in or pour that marinade over it and then put it in the oven and bake it covered, and you'll get that flavor in there. Even with the Instant Pot. So with the Instant Pot, it's a little bit harder. Like you can't really like spray the stuff on there when it's partly cooked. You're basically, a lot of recipes, you can stick like a frozen chicken in there and then it comes out cooked. So what do you do in that situation? Well, in every Instant Pot recipe, you have to add a cup of liquid. So what you can do is you can add your oils to that cup of liquid, mix it in there, and then pour your liquid in, and that's going to give you the flavor inside your Instant Pot meal. So you can totally use the oils in the Instant Pot. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know where you've been, because that's like supposedly the best appliance ever created. But for those of you that are in the know on the Instant Pot, then you can do it that way and just see how that goes. Also, you can also sometimes if the meat's not frozen, you can like sear it in the bottom of the Instant Pot first. You can turn it on the saute, and that's where you could actually saute with your olive oil that's infused with essential oils. So those are just a couple tips for the Instant Pot. Somebody had a question, share recipe for peppermint marinade. Really, that's it. It's just extra virgin olive oil with lemon, lime, and black pepper, which is kind of my base for almost all my marinades. And then I add a few drops of peppermint oil depending on how much volume of marinade that I'm making, and that's pretty much all I do. So cilantro. I know some of you are big cilantro fans, so I'll mention it. I had one incident where I tried to make some kind of cilantro flavored something or other, and it was the worst thing on the planet ever created, and so I've never cooked with it ever again. But some of you may really like cilantro, and all I can say is if you're making this in some kind of dip or some kind of Mexican dish or whatever you like to eat cilantro in typically, just be careful because it is really, really strong. Like really, really, I don't even know how to tell you how strong it is. I made something and it was too strong, and so I doubled the recipe thinking that the volume would make up for the strong taste, and I ended up tripling the recipe and it was still too much cilantro, so I had to throw the whole mess away. And that was the last time I ever cooked with cilantro. Okay, drinks, lots of drinks. In fact, there's probably a whole entire 30-minute conversation just on drinks. I have a friend who does like EO cocktails, and he's got a recipe for like every kind of cocktail on earth that uses essential oils. He even has one that uses helichrysum oil, which I think sounds really crazy, but I have also not tasted it, so I don't know. But he swears he can make any cocktail using essential oils. So I do, I'm not a big alcohol drinker, but what I do is I have, I'll get a bottle of like that, what's that stuff called? Pellegrino. put maybe like a really small dash of vanilla extract in there. You don't even have to do that, but that was just something I tried. And a little tiny dash of liquid stevia. And then add Citrus Bliss oil to that, and you've got yourself kind of like a orange cream soda. And it was really yummy, and there was no sugars, no like coloring, nothing, and it still tasted like such a great treat. So you can do all kinds of those kinds of drinks too. You can make your children basically make them Sprite, you know, with like lemon and lime oil, doing the same thing with just carbonated water and a little tiny bit of a natural sweetener, and then just add your citrus oils to it. I do a holiday punch that's really yummy, that's based off of just citrus fruit. So I'll take, you know, grapefruits and limes and lemons and just kind of juice all those out, pour that into my container, and then I add, you know, what is it? What am I trying to say? Like soda water, you know, the bubbly stuff, add that to it. And then I'll add, you know, Citrus Bliss, or you could add wild orange, lemon, whatever you want to add to that. That is a major hit at all of my holiday parties since I started making that a couple years ago. So that's, again, it's really just about experimenting and taking what other people are using as flavors and just substituting that for essential oils and get your mind kind of in that mode. Now, the big question that everyone always asks me is, this recipe calls for 1 cup of lemon juice. How many drops of oil do I need for that? So what you're dealing with there is you're dealing with a volume issue. If a recipe calls for like a certain volume of liquid and you leave that liquid out, you're going to have a problem with the consistency of your recipe. So I don't know exactly how that would work if the recipe is still going to turn out the same if you leave out like a half a cup of something or other. So it's not really like an apples to apples type comparison, but if you're doing it for flavor, then you can just sub that out. So I mean, if they're calling for vanilla extract, it's not going to change the consistency of the recipe if you leave the vanilla extract out and put Citrus Bliss in there. So that's just a little tip. Cassia is another one that I've done a lot of recipes, spicy recipes with. This one's pretty strong too, so be careful. Don't get any on your fingers and like rub your eye when you're cooking or anything like that. Basil is another one. I use this in a lot of red meat type dishes like stews and steak. We did steaks the other day for my husband's birthday, and that's all we did is we marinated them in essential oils. And I literally just look at all the ones that are named after spices, and I'm like, what sounds good? And I put that in my extra virgin olive oil marinade. Here's another one that you may not think about very much is cardamom. I started experimenting with cardamom, and if you like Indian food, you're getting cardamom as one of the common spices that's in Indian food, and so it's a flavor you're going to recognize. What I did is I made a couple of different trim shake recipes, and I added cardamom oil to that. But I've also made homemade ice cream, like homemade vanilla ice cream, and I've added cardamom flavor to it. And that is so yummy. And again, when you're using cardamom, you're getting the calming benefits of cardamom, you're getting the digestive benefits of cardamom, and so it's going to help you to properly digest that yummy dessert that you just made with your cardamom oil. So these are all things that you can try. If you're the type of person that you need somebody to sit there and say, use 1 drop of this and this and this, there's lots of recipes like that where they've taken all of the, I'm more of like an intuitive cooker. I kind of like just, oh, this sounds good, let's do this. You know, that's how I do it. And so for me to spit you out a recipe is a little harder. I'm just like, add some of this, this, and this, and you figure out the amounts. But if that doesn't work for your brain, one of our great essential oil reference books, it's called the Essential Life book. They have a ton of great recipes in there. There's also really good recipes on doTERRA.com. If you look up recipes, there's recipes for everything that you could possibly imagine on that website. I'm going to tell you a really fun one. This is not my original idea. I got this from Christine Hales, and I was at her house one time, and she was making a salad, and I saw her get out the children's fish oil, and I'm like, what are you doing? This was the salad dressing that she used for our salad that we ate for dinner. And I have to tell you, I feel really sorry for all these kids that people are trying to make them eat this IQ Mega, because if somebody tried to give me this on a spoon, I'd be like, I'm out of here. Because number one, I hate fish. I don't even like to think about fish, look at fish, smell fish. And then the consistency of like taking an oil by a spoon would just gag me so much. However, I love this as a dressing, and for the most part, when I make all my own salad dressing, because then I know what's in it, and there's not a bunch of hidden junky ingredients in it. for the most part, my salad dressing is extra virgin olive oil. That's what I do. And so this is a fish oil, and it's already infused with wild orange. So it gives your salad this really neat flavor. You know, you've had citrusy flavored salad dressings before. I'm telling you, this is a very little known use. And so if you have a kid who's probably like, you know, a mini Deanna that's like, heck no, I'm not taking a spoonful of your fish, no way. Then just, if they'll eat a salad, I ate salads all the time as a kid. If you have a kid that'll eat salad, just put this as their salad dressing. And they're getting that IQ mega and they don't even know. They just think they're eating a salad dressing. Just go ahead and toss it right into the salad. Your husband's getting it. Everybody's getting their essential oils and their fish oil, and they don't even know. It's just a really cool way to sneak some healthiness into stuff that you're already eating. And there's tons of other creative ways that you can add this fish oil. You can even add a little of that into a smoothie. I promise you, if your smoothie recipe is good enough and you don't use a ton of that, you can put that into a smoothie, and you're getting that into your child, and they don't realize that they're, you know, eating fish. I couldn't do it because if I was making it, I couldn't drink it because I would know it was in there. But if you made one for me, I would totally drink it if you didn't tell me that there was fish, because I just have this like aversion to fish. So let me see if anybody else has posted any other comments or questions. Lemon, orange, lime is used for acidity. Then you cannot substitute essential oils for it. You can only use them if the recipe calls for the rind, because that is where the flavor is. Let me see. This is only for the citrus ones. Okay, so that may be true. I have no idea. But again, you know, most of the time when I see recipes calling for like a juice, I'm thinking about, you know, if it's a half a cup of juice, I'm thinking like, I can't leave that out. I'm going to need to get the lemon out and use the juice. But she's right. Like if you're doing like a zest, if it's a lemon zest or a lime zest, then you can always use the essential oil, because that's very true. The essential oil is coming from the outside of the fruit versus the inside part, that if you were cooking with the juice, you'd be getting that part. So yeah, there is an acidity issue. I think it's kind of like how I don't like to use tomato products that have sugar added to them. And I started having like upset stomachs and stuff when I would make different Italian dishes. And I remember that when I was a kid, my grandparents would make us a lot of Italian food, and my grandfather would put like a whole carrot in the spaghetti sauce. And then just before it was time to eat, he would discard the carrot. And I'm like, what is he doing? And I never asked, so I never understood the reason for it. But instead of adding sugar to deal with the acidity of the tomato and help you digest it, he was getting natural sugar from the carrot and cooking that into the sauce. And so it's kind of a similar situation to what Wendy is saying, is that certain foods, they need an acidity. So you could find out if there was something that you could substitute that for. Or again, you could just use the fruit. And then if you just want to add a little bit of the flavor of the zest, then you can add the citrus oil. So that's a good point. Somebody says they use both. Yeah, that's probably what I would do in that situation too. Any other questions? We only have like maybe 60 seconds left, but if somebody has a quick question. Mary mentioned guacamole. I can't believe I didn't say that. I do that all the time. I like to use my lime oil in guacamole. That's a perfect one. I also make, what is wrong with my brain right now? Probably this bright light shining in my eyes. I feel like I'm on a stage talking. I can't see anything. What in the heck is it called? With chickpeas, you know, like that you dip hummus, that's what hummus. So there's lots of different flavors of hummus out there. And so if you think about like some of the flavors, you can do that. You can make your own. So you can just get you can make plain hummus and then just add essential oils. And it is an amazing flavor, great for dipping raw vegetables in, or if you eat chips or whatever you use to dip in your hummus, that's always a good one. I'm trying to see if there's any other questions or comments. That's about it. So if you're thinking that you'd like to get started with essential oils, normally I would tell you that you should go out and get a starter kit, and I do think that's the best way, but most of the starter kits aren't going to have a lot of oils that you can cook with. They'll all have a citrus oil, and you can do some stuff with like On Guard oil and peppermint, but you're going to be a little bit limited on your cooking with the basic kits. You can get one of the kits that has all the oils in it, and then you'll have all the spices, or you can create your own kit and just choose the oils that are for cooking. So you could just look through and you could grab basil and you could get oregano and thyme and marjoram and whatever you want to cook with and make your own kit. Of course, if you create your own kit, you're going to have to pay the $35 membership. So again, it's a great way to incentivize you to just go ahead and get a starter kit, because you will get your $35 membership free with the starter kit. Any person who spends $100 in oils and also gets a membership in the month of May, whether you do that through a starter kit or creating your own, you will get $50 in free oils of your choice. So they're going to give you $50 in credits that you can cash in towards whatever oils you want. So maybe you could get a starter kit, and then when you get your $50 in points, you could start adding some of these awesome cooking oils to your collection, and then start sharing your recipes, because I'm always up to trying new recipes with the oils. I love to hear you guys' ideas. I don't see Aviance on here, but I know she made deviled eggs with fennel one time, and I was like, what? I never would have thought of that. I would have thought, do that with sausage or something, but I've never tried it. So she's done that with fennel. She cooks a lot with the oil, so hopefully she'll maybe stop by and later and watch the replay and share some of her recipes as well. All right. Well, talk to the person who invited you to watch this video. They're going to be the best person to help you get started. Plus, they probably have free stuff that they'll give you when you choose your starter kit, and then make sure that they'll make sure that they help you to get your $50 in free oils from doTERRA in May. We're here at this same BAT channel, facebook.com/oil shares, every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern time for Oil a Day. We talk about one oil for like 5 minutes, and then we're here every Sunday night. If you are my personal customer, meaning that if you're going to sign up for doTERRA, you're going to sign up through me specifically, and you're not working with another wellness advocate, and you're not already on my team, I have a special VIP page I'd like to invite you to join. And in there, I have special promotions and deals and stuff that's just for my personal customers. And you can request to join the page if you go to facebook.com/groups/oil shares VIP. And if you go to that link, you can request to join. If you're already part of my team, I'm not going to accept your request. Sorry. And then I will ask you if you're working with another wellness advocate. And if not, and you're just trying to find somebody to help you learn about oils, I'd love to be that person. And join my page, and you'll find out about some of my awesome specials that I have going on right now. So thank you for spending some time with me tonight. Have an amazing evening, and I will see you next time.